Wharfies want a pay rise during a recession. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, because I thought we'd have a look a little bit about the Port Botany dispute that is going on between the Maritime Union of Australia and Patrick Stevedore. Now, if you're old enough to remember back in the day, the first dispute they had, well, it looks like, the union has now reached out with an olive branch to try and negotiate a deal with Patrick. Now, I thought we'd go through what the union has just released, what their olive branch. They had probably a response from Morrison, an article that's written about him. And then let's look at the average pay of these Wharfies. Okay, let's look at the average pay. And I think it's important we do it in that order, just so we're all aware. Because, you've got to understand, in these type of jobs, sure, it's hard work, sure, you have to be out there, but, it's a closed shop, guys. It's a closed shop. Unions, by definition, are a cartel, and they drive down the quality of life and wages of those not in the cartel. So, the Maritime Union of Australia will today use a conciliation hearing of the Fair Work Commission to formally offer a peace deal to Patrick that could deliver an immediate end to all industrial action at the company's container terminal. What are they striking there? I thought they were just negotiating. That's even worse. As we're entering the first recession in 28 years, how many people are losing their homes? How many people have lost their jobs? And now's the terrible time from an optics perspective to be pushing this. Just ludicrous. What about the good of the nation? What about we're all in this together, comrades? We're all equal, but some are more equal than others. The union proposal would see the company's existing workplace agreement extended for 12 months, maintaining the status quo with existing terms and conditions while providing a reasonable 2.5% pay rise to Wharfies. Okay, a 2.5% pay rise. Now, that doesn't sound a lot until you realize what they're getting, what they're on. It's a different world. It's a different world. Working here, you've got no idea what it's like not being in the unionized workforce. By extending the existing agreement for a year, it would prevent any form of protected industrial action from occurring, providing certainty for Patrick's workers and the Australian community. The MUA National Secretary, Paddy Crumlin, said that while the union rejected Patrick's outlandish and baseless delay claims, it was acting to address the concerns of the broader Australian community. When the MUA and Patrick sit down for a conciliation hearing before Fair Work Commission today, the union will be putting forward this genuine, reasonable and fair peace offer that could bring the current dispute to an immediate end, he said. The union proposal would see the existing workplace agreement roll over for another 12 months, maintaining the status quo in relation to workplace rights and conditions, while providing a reasonable and affordable 2.5% pay increase to Wharfies. Our proposal does not seek to modify a single word of the existing agreement, so there is no change to the agreements that Patrick has successfully and profitably operated their container terminals under. Yes, there is. You're pushing for a pay rise when Australia is entering a recession. And all of these costs are passed on to every good that is imported into the country, guys. Every single good. Every consumer is paying for this. You've just got to be aware of that. That's fine. If you support it, that's fine. But just think everything you pay will have to go up. Everything that's imported will have to go up. This peace deal would result in the immediate end of all industrial action at Patrick container terminals, now and for the duration of the agreement. It would provide certainty for farmers, exporters, and the general community, and allow Patrick and the union to refocus our efforts on the ongoing challenges posed by the pandemic crisis. Here we have it. We have a complete lockdown of the economy. We have this illness all over the country. We've got state governments restricting our freedoms to try and address this, and they're pushing for a 2.5% pay rise. Does that seem fair and reasonable? Does this seem like they have the, what they've done is they've anchored it in such a way that now they can come to the table with this peace deal, which it may be all they wanted, and look like the good guys. They're demanding a pay increase, for their members, because they're just the good guys. They're just the good guys. And I don't blame people for pushing for a pay increase, but wait till you see what they earn. Wait till you see what they earn, guys. Mr. Crumlin said if Patrick was serious about resolving the dispute in the interest of their customers and the broader community, they would accept the union's genuine offer. The truth is this dispute has never been about money. It's been about Patrick's desire to slash the conditions of their workforce under the cover of the pandemic crisis, he said. If the company steps back from the proposal to slash 50 pages of conditions from the current agreement, I mean, just think about that. Have you read through one of these agreements, guys? I went through the entire Toyota one. It was just ludicrous. Ludicrous, so complex, so convoluted. I bet you the average person doesn't go through it. Has got no idea about it. So clauses that govern things like rosters, hours of work, and family-friendly provisions could have an agreement today and end this dispute. By locking in a 12-month peace deal, it gives both parties the opportunity to come together in a mature way. Yes, but you're pushing for a 2.5% pay increase, everyone. We're in a recession. We're in the first recession in 28 years. You should be glad you have a job. Aren't people glad they have a job, let alone pushing for a pay increase? By locking in a 12-month peace deal, it also gives both parties the opportunity to come together in a mature way and undertake genuine bargaining about what a future agreement would look like. If Patrick refuses this peace offer, the Australian public will be left in no doubt about which party is responsible for escalating this unnecessary conflict at such a difficult time for the nation. Okay, so that's what the unions put forward there. And judging by some of the Facebook comments here, there are people that are saying, 2.5% is a reasonable pay rise. How many of you have been years since you've actually been able to get a pay rise? How many of your businesses have gotten burdens placed on it again and again and again by the state, just chipping away at your freedoms? How many costs? How many licensing? But, that's a different world, guys. And this is why. Why would you work? Why would you start a business? Get a job. And we'll have a look here. Before we go to Morrison, we'll just jump here. So Patrick workers reject a pay offer. This was in 2006. We'll go down here. The figures, the union's saying the figures aren't accurate, but says companies say the average Melbourne port terminal worker receives $159,000 per annum. So here we have the current average pay, and this is a 9% pay rise. This is in 2016. So $170,000 in Port Botany. $170,000, everyone. Just think about that. Fremantle, 166. Melbourne, 159. Brisbane, poor Brisbaneites, only $144,000. $144,000. What's the average wage in Australia right now? $82,000. Full-time average earnings, $82,000, guys. So do you think they need a 2.5% pay rise, everyone? Do you think they need that? Is that fair and is that reasonable? Particularly when Australia is entering our first recession in 28 years. Have you watched the Four Corners special on just the impact of this recession on people? People are losing their businesses left, right, and centre. If the government can come in and just instantly lock down all businesses, they should instantly stop all industrial disputes. Come on, we're in a totalitarian state anyway. Do the same thing. So let's have a look at Morrison's take on it. What's he said? It's not on. The PM fires up over Sydney Port pay dispute. Scott Morrison has ripped into the union at the centre over a pay dispute, saying it is preventing vital medical supplies getting into Australia. Scott Morrison has savaged the union at the centre of a pay dispute for Sydney Wharfies, accusing it of preventing vital medical supplies making their way to Australians. The Maritime Union of Australia has denied its industrial action tactics with Patrick Terminal are causing medical shortages. This is the standard thing. Back during the war here in Australia, the unions and wharfies were causing problems as well. There you go. Here's the thing. What would happen if we had a military conflict with a radical left-leaning socialist country? Whose side would the wharfies be on? But the Prime Minister lashed out at the union during a press conference on Tuesday, saying it's not on. There are 40 ships, and I'm told there's some 90,000 containers out there that includes medical supplies, Morrison said. This is just extraordinary, appalling behaviour. And they, as much as admitted it on morning television this morning, that is just straight out extortion. This is reprehensible. Well, that's what you get, guys. We can't have the militant end of the union movement effectively engaging in a campaign of extortion against the Australian people in the middle of a pandemic recession. I think we need to call it the Dan Depression, guys. We'll just call it the Dan Depression. Mr. Morrison was also asked if he would take the extreme step of sending in the military to break up the strike, giving the nation what was in the midst of a pandemic. Labour Prime Minister Ben Chifley took similar action after World War II in 1949 to end a coal-mined labour dispute. I'm not going to preempt any of those sorts of things, Morrison said. We're still at a stage where I think that sort of thing would hopefully be unnecessary and it would never come to something like that. But he did say the government would take what steps are necessary to ensure a swift conclusion. Whatever differences people have on the waterfront about this, I would ask them to put it aside, he said. Opposition leader Alberti Anthonysi said if he were Prime Minister, he would be trying to bring the parties together and not engage in a rhetoric for political purposes. When asked if he supported the union and their right to industrial action, Mr. Albanese said, of course. Meanwhile, in Canberra, Mr. Morrison said home quarantine could play a key role in reopening Australia, as reopening its international borders. He said the Chinese-Australian community followed home quarantine requirements strictly and helped Australia control its first wave. Home quarantine can play a role in the future, and it's something that is being considered. Okay, I mean, that's not really relevant to the dispute here with the Wharfies. But you can go, I'll link to that in the pinned comment below. So there we have it, everyone. You know, the Wharfies want to make peace. They're happy just for everything to remain the same, except for a little 2.5% pay rise. What do you think, guys? Do you think it's a form of extortion? Do you think it's fair and reasonable to be getting a pay rise? Or aren't we all meant to be in this together? What do you think? Would you like to be earning, $100,000 above the average wage? Wouldn't that be good? So how many degrees do you need to be a Wharfie? How many years of study do you need to do that? How many of you driving a forklift would like to go out there and upgrade to one of their machines? I'm not saying it's not hard, but, maybe champagne socialists need to realize what other people are living like. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I created, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.